Hi, I'm Charlotte and I'm an independent Jamberry consultant, and today I'm going to show you how to create French tip wraps with regular Jamberry wraps. Today I will be using the June Hostess exclusive and TCU horned frogs. And before you ask, no, I'm not a fan of TCU. I just love these little horned frogs. Now, if you want to try doing these French tips and you're not sure which two wraps to pair together, I think one of the easiest ways to do it is to use one of the Mix Mani wraps. I've done Latte Love with French tips, and I took the brown center part here and used that as a tip on the bean wrap, and I loved it. It was an easy way to match up the wraps. I knew they would go together. So that's the simplest way to figure out which wraps to use for the French tips, if you don't want to try to pair some together. For this tutorial, I'm assuming you already know how to do basic wrap application, so I won't be going over that. I'll just be going over how to trim and apply the tips. And so let's get started. Oh, and here's what the finished product will look like. Let's see if I can get that to focus better. There you go. I have the June Hostess exclusive alternating with the horned frogs, with the June Hostess exclusive as tips. You can probably see a little better on my thumbs since they're a little bigger. I have already done called a base layer, which is just the bottom main color or wrap that I'm going to be using. And when I do that, I always have this centerpiece left over, and that's what I use for my tips. If your nails are longer and you don't have that centerpiece, then you can just use a wrap that you don't typically use that's too big or too small, and just cut it to fit the width of your nail. It doesn't take very much at all to do the tips. This little piece right here will do, I could probably get 3 tips out of it, but I like to use it for just 2. I cut it in half and use 1/2 for each tip. Now, to cut the curve, that's the most popular question I get, is how do I cut the curve? I've seen people use a coin to trace the curve they want on there and then cut it out. Use a corner punch for scrapbooking that gives you a curve. You can do that. Whatever is easiest for you, do that. There's no right or wrong way to do this. It's just whatever works for you. For me personally, I don't like to have a real big curve, so I just use my scissors and just trim a small little curve in there. That's just personal preference. You might like a larger curve, and that is fine. You can use a larger curve. Again, it's all just personal preference. So I have my curve cut in there. I don't know if you can see that. And so now I will just cut that in half, because like I said, I will use the other half for another finger. And now, of course, you want to always clean your wraps. The one that you already have applied, you want to clean that off just like you would if there was nothing on your nail. Prep it just the same way you would to apply a wrap to your naked nail. And now you can use whatever method works for you. I like the 1, 2, 3 method. That's just, again, my personal preference. If you like a cold application, you can do that. Whatever application method is your preferred method, use that. So now I've warmed it up, and I'm just very carefully lining it up with my nail, however far back you want it to go. That just depends on how wide of a tip you want. Again, for me, I don't really like to have a real wide tip, and sometimes it also depends on what pattern I have on this base wrap. If it's one where I want to kind of cover up more, then I'd scoot it down a little more. Reheat that a little bit. Now you want to make sure that you get a really good seal onto the other wrap. The wraps usually stick really well to each other, But you just want to really get the corners pushed down. That's the main thing. It's getting these corners pushed down, because you don't want those to lift. And now it will leave. You can see there's a little. My orange stick is stopping because there's a little ridge there from placing one wrap over the other. Because of that, I always put True Shine over the top. If you don't have that, you can just put a top coat over it. I do advise putting some sort of top coat or gel over the top, just so that ridge can't get caught on anything. Because it is, with it being near the tip of your nail, it is more likely to get caught on something. So to make them last a little longer, I do advise putting something over it. But again, it's personal preference. If you don't have an issue with the ridge, and you don't think it's going to get caught on anything, then don't put anything over it. Then you just file like you normally would. Just file the excess off. And you have turned your regular wraps into a French tip. And that's all there is to it. It's pretty simple. It can seem kind of intimidating at first, but don't let that intimidate you. It's honestly very simple. You just need a little piece. You cut the curve that you want and just stick it on there, basically. Like I said, the cutting the curve is honestly the hardest part, and you can use, like I said, you can use a coin or something round to trace the curve on there. You can use the corner punch for scrapbooking. You can just free cut it like I do, whatever works for you. And then you just put it on there, and that's it. I hope you enjoyed that tutorial and that you found it helpful. If you have any questions, I will be more than happy to help you. And like I said, this tutorial assumes you knew how to do basic wrap application. If you have any questions about that, I will be happy to help you out with that. If you don't have a consultant already, and if you do have a consultant, then I know they would be more than happy to help you figure out the best application method for you, and also help you figure out what wraps to pair together. So, like I said, if you have a consultant, contact them and they will be happy to help you. And if you don't have a consultant, I will have my information at the end of this video, and I will be happy to talk with you. Have a great day.